This presentation is part 10 of my GET series that I have been doing over the past couple of months. I hope that you all have been enjoying it. In this 10th episode, we're going to be talking about LLC formation. GET stands for Gifted, Enlightened, and Transparent, where I've been talking about types of grants, how to write a grant proposal, how to find grants, and different tools and resources for grant seekers. Grants are usually aligned with nonprofit organizations, but if you've been watching my series, you'll know that Sawari Media is actually an LLC. So how does having an LLC make it possible for you to get access to grants? Well, I'm going to let you know. And if you don't have your LLC yet, after watching this video, you'll have all the knowledge that you need in order to form your own. So let's dive right in. So in this presentation, I'm going to be going over why you'd want to form an LLC, how to set up an LLC. I'm going to talk a little bit about mine and different elements that you will have to have prepared depending on the state that you live in. I'm in Michigan, so I have experience from the state of Michigan, but I'm going to touch on what you might need if you're in another state as well, including articles of organization, registered agent, operating agreement, and then everyone's going to need their EIN. I'm also going to touch on some formation servicers in case you're interested in using one, and then the one that I use. And then we'll talk about fiscal sponsorship, what you'll be needing to prepare after you set up your LLC, and the different services that Sawari Media provides before concluding the presentation. So let's look at the broad overview of how to set up an LLC. You're going to start with a name. You'll want a unique name of your business that no one else in your state is using. I've worked with people who've picked a name for their LLC, and then after submitting all of their documentation, they weren't able to form it because there was another LLC with the exact same name in their state. Something that can prevent this from happening for you is doing a Google search. Now, that's not always going to be foolproof. There might be some obscure group that is using a name that you're interested in, but a Google search can help. And then another tip, do not start making your cards, your stationery, flyers, website until after you get your approval from the IRS. If you pick the name Love Doll for your LLC, and then Love Doll is already taken, but you've already started using and putting together marketing materials for Love Doll, then you will be disappointed and you will be wasting some of your valuable resources and your startup costs. Why Love Doll come to mind, I don't know, but maybe someone out there is interested in that. It's probably taken. Next thing is using a registered agent. We're going to talk more about a registered agent, articles of organization, which everyone, no matter what state you're in, is going to need, and then the operating agreement. Everyone should at least think about this, but I have a star next to it because it is not something that you have to have formalized and typed out in every state. And then at the end of everything, you will receive your EIN, which formalizes your business and is really proof that you exist as a new entity. So why form an LLC? So LLC stands for Limited Liability Company, and it allows an individual or a group of individuals to create an entity outside of who they are as a person. It enables them to provide products, goods, services, a combination of those, or whatever unique contribution that they might have to give to the public sphere without sacrificing their personal economic reputation. So they're able to apply for loans as this business, purchase property as this business, get grants as this business, sell goods as this business, and even make mistakes as this business that don't tie to them and wouldn't put any of their personal finances or their personal investments like a home in jeopardy. Also, As an LLC, an individual can have access to other programs and funding opportunities that they would not have had access to otherwise, like accelerators and incubators. I did a video on accelerators and incubators talking about those types of funding opportunities. If you want to check out that video, check out the description box or just watch the full GET playlist to learn more about that. Now, about my LLC, which is called Sawari Media. I've had Sawari Media for about 7 years now, and Sawari Media creates publications that goes across 33 states. And over the past 5-ish years, our subscription count has increased by 46%. So let's touch on what you would need as a LLC to formalize and get your EIN number, which is the bow on top of what your LLC's existence is. So the articles of organization, after picking your business name, is what you're going to need. This articles of organization encompasses all the elements of what your business is made up of. So the name, the physical office address, the mailing address, if that's different from the office address, your business purpose, which is like your mission statement if you're a social good entity like Sawari Media, but it could also be your business statements or your product purpose, and then member names. Now, it could just be you. It could be you and a co-founder. The effective date is going to be the date that your LLC was established. And RA, I use throughout this presentation to shorten registered agent. So if you have a registered agent, which you should, you don't have to legally, but you should. And I'll talk more about that as well. Now, going into registered agent. What is a registered agent? Why do you need a registered agent? And should you be your own registered agent? You can be your own registered agent. So what a registered agent is, it is a service that businesses use in order to keep track of different types of legal notices and documents. Registered agents usually service dozens or even hundreds of businesses. And if you work with a business formation servicer, one of the services that they provide is hosting you under their registered agency. A registered agent is important because their address, their name is public record. So if you're your own registered agent, then your personal information is going to be in the public record, which is searchable to anyone. If you're your own registered agent and you get a lot of, and you work from home and your address for your registered agent is going to be your home address, and you get a lot of marketing mail and bills and promotions and catalogs, you might lose track of legal notices, and you never want that. Also, a really good thing with a registered agent is that they keep up with local laws that would impact your business, and they will be aware of when there's a change and notify all the businesses in their registered agency. There was recently a new law that passed, and it is a national law that everyone with an LLC has to also provide their residency address. Now, it's separate from a registered agent's information. You'd still have a registered agent that would give you that legal covering that wouldn't have your residence be on public record. However, the federal government wants to keep track of where LLC owners reside. It went into effect last year, and for LLC owners that had their LLC formalized prior to 2023, they have until the end of the year to update their documentation linked to their LLC with that new residence information. But for people who formalize their LLC this year or beyond, they'll provide that information as they're putting together their LLC. Your registered agent will let you know how to do that. Next is your operating agreement. Now, operating agreement contains a lot of the same information that your articles of organization has, but it is a unique document and it is required in 5 states. That's Delaware, California, Maine, Missouri, and New York. If you're not in those 5 states, you might still need to have one in place, but it just doesn't have to be written out. It could be oral and it could be informal or implied. An operating agreement is a document that gives more of a description and details around how your business operates. So it might be, how are the members given their positions? Are they nominated? Are they elected? How are big decisions made? Are those decisions voted on? Who gets a vote? Key functions of the company, how often those meetings happen, if there are voting meetings, how are conflicts resolved within the organization? These types of things are in an operating agreement. The main difference between articles of organization and an operating agreement, even though the content overlaps, the operating agreement provides much more detail as to the different functions of how the business processes operate on a day-to-day. Now, it also addresses default laws. So, for example, there are laws in place already that govern how an LLC functions. And if you have an operating agreement, that operating agreement in place for your business, especially for the 5 states in which it's required, will supersede the default laws. So having an operating agreement in place, especially if you're one of these 5 states, is going to be a necessity for your LLC. Now, your EIN, which is an employer identification number, is like the social security number of your business. Once you have your articles of formation, your operating agreement, your name, your registered agent, your mailing address, your physical address, and all those things in place, then you submit those to the IRS. You wait for your approval, which begins with checking that there's no one else with that name and that everything matches up. Then you will be distributed an EIN number, which is the golden ticket. That means that you've been approved and that you exist now as a separate entity than yourself, your personal self. Now your business exists. And it gives you the opportunity to separate your business dealings from your personal dealings and to separate your business assets from your personal assets, which is gold. So you're able to separate those and actually make moves on behalf of yourself as a business entity. The most important piece of having an EIN is for setting up your bank account, which you should do as soon as possible. Don't wait until you start trying to fundraise for something or until you get your first donation. Have this in place because you don't want to mix or otherwise commingle. It doesn't look good to funders. They want to see that you are budgeting and keeping track of everything associated to your business exclusively. So once you get your EIN, go to the bank, take your certificate of formation and show them, and also take your IRS letter, which has your EIN number on it, and open up a business account in your name and in the name of your business. So this will allow you to pay your employees from that account and avoid the issues raised by spending company money on private uses. So here are a few formation services that I'm familiar with. The first one that I'll talk about is Zen Business. I like this one because they have $0 in setting up and it only charges you the state fee, which in Michigan is $50. So you are just paying for your state fees. They have a 4.5-star rating. Another one that I've liked and that I've used is Northwest Registered Agent. While they do have a cost plus the state fee, I think the long-term operating costs are less than this third one, which is LegalZoom. I think LegalZoom is like the most popular, but I've also noticed that they're quite expensive, especially if you're formalizing a nonprofit. Now, depending on the state that you're in, your filing fee could be different. Now, filing fee is the cost for just setting up and existing as a business, the cost that the IRS is charging in order to review and ensure that your business can exist in that state. So in Michigan, like I said, it's $50. Some of the more expensive states are Washington State and Alaska. $50 looks like it's the lowest. I thought there was a $30 state. Oh, Arkansas is 45. So if you're in Arkansas, it looks like you are getting the best bet for the cost. Oh, Kentucky is 40. Look at that. So it varies from state to state. Maine is 175. So yeah, this is all the state filing fees depending on where you're at in the country. Oh, Texas is 300. Ah! So please give this some thought depending on what state you live in. All right, so now we're going to talk a little bit about fiscal sponsorship because this is an option that you can use if you are an LLC and you're doing work for the public good, for the public benefit, and you don't have the capacity to run your own nonprofit organization, but you might have a relationship with a nonprofit organization that supports the work that you're doing and gives you an umbrella that you can work underneath in order to access 501c3 grants. Let them know, and they might be interested in fiscally sponsoring you for a specific grant or maybe for a specific time period. You're going to need a memorandum of understanding or a sponsorship agreement in order to have that in place because the grantor is going to ask for that. And then the funding will go to Wellness for Children, and then Wellness for Children will cut you a check out of that. They usually charge, some fiscal sponsors charge 5%. They might be happy to sponsor you because not only does it give them access to those grants that you're already applying for, a slice of those, but it also allows them to extend the type of work that they're doing through the work that you do. So after the LLC, these are things that you're going to need to think about. You'll be researching your own grants. You want to make sure now that you have your IRS letter with your EIN that you're designing cards, websites, social media to promote and let people know about what you're doing. You'll want to fundraise for your projects. You want to fundraise for the work that you're doing and make sure that you keep a budget that's separate, that's exclusively for your business assets. Satori Media provides different services for people who are interested in not only forming LLCs, but applying for grants, creating proposals and things. If you all want to work with me, but my website is also going to be on the next slide. I really appreciate you all for watching this presentation, and I hope that it was helpful for you. Again, my name is Amani Sawari, founder and director of Sawari Media, and I look forward to seeing you all in the next one. Bye.